There he is. Do you need a pen? I can go digging. Did you? Holy smokes. Dang time. Oh, what did you do? Not much. I'm just trying to find something. We're here. Full and sunny, rather than
All right, good evening. This is the reorganization meeting, so I'll start the meeting. We'll do the Pledge of Allegiance. We do have a microphone here to see if that helps, and then we also, if you get a text or an email saying that you can't hear, we have 2 microphones we can pass to you people who are on the edges who want to be heard. So please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We do have a new board member, Angela Bovier, and Maureen, it's her last meeting, as she's got to move into Newport.
Yes.
So, welcome and thank you for serving. I would entertain a motion for board chair.
I nominate Robin McNeil.
Second, Melissa. Motion by Chris, second by Lissa. Any further nominations? Motion to cease nominations? Jason?
Second.
Robin? All those in favor of Robin McNeil as the board chair? Opposed? Okay.
Well, thank you very much. That was a little surprising. So at this point, thank you very much, and we will move on to election of vice chair. Do I hear a nomination?
Nominate Chris.
Chris Easton is second.
Second.
There is a motion and a second on the floor. All those in favor? Any opposed? Very good. Congratulations, Chris. Any amendments to the agenda?
Yes, there are. I thought we did the athletic director.
I thought we did too. Yes, we did.
Appointments to committees.
Yes, good, thanks, Chris. I will, if you haven't passed in your committee form, I have some extras here that you can grab, and they will go to Robin. She makes those determinations. and then we'll move forward with that.
Should we get them later, or?
You can get them, well, I'll pass them around. So we did athletic director, because I said Simon as well. I don't believe, so I have adjustments to the agenda, staff resignations, Stacy Swanson, our BCBA across the district, and then JRTC. We kind of knew Eric was going. We just got his notification that he is going to go back out west this time. And staff nominations, Taylor Rogers, grade 7 social studies. Remove Lisa Theoritis as a school nurse in Etna-Dixmont. She declined that position. And we have a staff transfer, Daniel Decker from grade 7 social studies to grade 8 social studies. And we will not need to, when we get to the agenda, discuss a assistant special ed director, as we have no candidate at this point in time. That will be the end of adjustments to the agenda.
Very good. Approval of minutes of the May 10th meeting. Alyssa, do I hear a second?
Second.
Any discussion?
Karina, you?
Yeah. Hearing none, all those in favor? Any opposed? It passes. Public comment. If there is anybody in the audience that would like to address the board, this would be the time to do so. Moving along. Reading of communications.
I do have one. This came in today. This, dear Mr. Hammer, this letter is to inform you that the select board for the town of Etna have decided not to take advantage of the lease for the property located directly across from the Etna-Dixmont School at 2100 Dixmont Road. The town of Etna would be interested in a transfer of ownership for the property, and if needed in the future, the town would lease it back to the school. So, just wanted to inform you where that is. I don't know what, I would assume it's not an agenda item to discuss tonight. However, we can make it another adjustment at the board level, can go back to the committee. I don't know if anybody wants to discuss it at the end of the meeting. We've got a lot to do. Or just have it just be an information.
I had a question. Did that go to the building committee?
Started with the building committee a couple different times, and then what we just, our last discussion was the lease. We sent the lease over to them. You guys saw it at a previous board meeting, and then we sent that over to them. And this is the, I thought it was going to go through, but then this is the correspondence I got today.
Very good. Superintendent and board communication.
My report will be filtered through the committees. I would say that it was a beautiful graduation ceremony. It was very nice to have it outside. It takes a lot of work on Mary's staff here at the high school, middle school, the whole building, to prepare to be outside and to be inside. The staff at the high school does a great job organizing all those wonderful graduates. It was nice to see them go out to the different schools. And then I will say that it was a pretty frustrating end of the school year for me at the middle school. I could say Newport PD did a fabulous job keeping us connected and doing what they possibly could do to help us with that situation. It just wasn't with the vibe that I was really hoping to end the year with. I can also say that this morning twice we've worked already with the middle school and the high school staff to discuss safety with both middle school and high school assistant principals, Ryan, myself, and Leisha. We're going to continue that ongoing conversation to see what we can do. They're setting up pre-arranged both fire drills and lockdown drills, and it's just it's amazing that you have to have that conversation on trying to keep kids safe right now. It's just not what you think about when you become an administrator, to say you would have to plan on what we've been planning on. But I can tell you that the response from Newport PD support was really great. And it'll be ongoing, because I hate to say it, it's cliche, but it's the new normal. But every time when I was standing out there with the police chief, he's like, this is what we're going to have to take threats seriously. We're going to have to look into them. We're going to have to walk through it and get with the best information that we can possibly provide and try to use all the resources that we have. I did talk to Jim Ricker as well this morning and thanked him for his support. And we also, you know, this maybe with some of these dollars that people are going to say that we're going to get for school security, you know, maybe we'll definitely have continued conversations about this topic. Other than that, so it was a very trying year. Our administrators and our teachers did a fabulous job. We appreciate your support. I hope we can rest and relax and get back at it next year in a completely different light.
Also, adult ed graduation was very good.
Yes, Suzanne sent a little note in your correspondence. It is quite an event to see what some of those adults have overcome, how they persevered, how they've, taken a different path to get where they needed to be. But it is a neat, as Suzanne said in her notes, if you ever get a chance to come and see it, it's quick, but it's a thoughtful event that Suzanne puts a lot of time and effort into.
I stepped in for Chris because Chris was out, and they had students that got up and made small speeches, and it was very impressive. They did a very good job, and it was an honor to be there and celebrate with them.
And even the 8th grade celebration, and even with everything that had happened, Angela and her staff did an amazing job. It was very lighthearted. The kids had a great time. There were smiles on everyone in there, and it was just really nice to get everybody in the same building together for something special.
It was packed.
Yeah, it was fantastic.
It was packed, so that was good. All right, reports. Superintendent.
Well, I'm done.
Okay. Board chair, I don't really have anything to report at this moment, but I'm sure I will. Reports of special committees. Budget and Finance, we did not meet because of elections. And usually we meet tonight, but didn't meet tonight because of the board meeting. So we will look at the scores that were received on the budget, and we'll address that down a little bit further. Building.
I'll take that. So the building committee met on June 8th. The discussions included JROTC building proposal, which was being proposed as a new building across the, on this side of the road. That has been judged as being far too expensive at this time. However, modifications to the existing buildings and inclusion of some of the barn, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Will give them the needed space that they wanted for some of the additional activities that they wanted to do. Somerset water work is proceeding. Should be substantially complete by the end of July. Since it's a public water system, we'll have to test it on an annual basis, but it should cut down on the amount of corrosion that's provided by that water. Lead testing in schools, we had a update on some of that. New requirement by the state is to test individual fixtures within the schools, and several of ours came up with more lead than was permissible. So these fixtures are being flagged, and they'll be replaced or repaired as we go through them, and then they'll have to be retested on an annual basis, as will the entire school. The Nokomis punch list is almost complete. There's still some paving, work on exterior doors, main stairs on the high school side. A lot of that is the contractors playing ping pong as to whose responsibility it is. And then we had a brief discussion on school security and some of the ways that we could achieve that.
Any questions for building? Thank you, Chris. Ryan, and, oh,
Well, the fixtures that were tested with lead in them, they were none in the new buildings, none in this building.
No, nothing
No.
in this building.
None in this building.
Sebasco and Somerset, we haven't got it in the back yet.
The fixtures, would they consist of faucets or water coolers or?
A little bit of both, and Jason came up with an idea. What we're gonna do is we're gonna try to swab the actual, the fitting or the fixture to see if it, where it actually is, which was a good idea. I think Alicia's looking into that, but we don't know whether it's a fixture prior to it or at the water cooler. Those types of things.
Some of the old water coolers were known to have lead, so I don't know what the age of them are, but if they're old enough, the course of action is to replace them.
Somerset and Sebasco are what, 15, 16 years old?
Yeah, we just paid them off at 20.
Oh, 20, right.
Yep, we're trying to determine, Paul, some of the ones that the kids are definitely drinking out of, we're gonna analyze first, but there's some of these are in a classroom where they're not gonna directly use them, and so we're gonna try to identify them before we just pull everything out, because there's no money from the state for this initiative, but we definitely wanna keep the kids safe, and I think Jason had a really good idea to swab at the site of where a fixture, fixture might be, but not have to remove it without its necessity. And be thoughtful about it.
Any other questions? Ryan, in education.
So the education committee met on June 7th. The report is in here. It's quite lengthy because I asked Evelyn to put in the presentations we had presentations from Mrs. Brown, Mrs. Stork, Mrs. Donahue. I think that was it. Several of them were video links that went out in the board email, but those were all part 3 of the agenda here. Part 2, we had sort of an emotional spectrum. Part 2, the first thing that we addressed at the education committee meeting was a lot of the, for lack of a better word, behavioral challenges at the middle school, which is a pretty broad statement. Mrs. Brown spoke quite a bit about some of the things that they've had to deal with, from social media use to anxiety, depression, food insecurity. All of it's laid out in here. And for those of you that like numbers, this page in particular is really quite informative with the percentages of students that have shown an increase in some of these issues. And the reason that this was brought forward in the first place was because we've been hearing about it from Mrs. Brown and other folks in relation to the second guidance counselor position that was put into the budget, which just passed. So we had originally asked for a discussion about what exactly that person's role was going to be and how it was going to be divided between the 2 guidance counselor positions and social workers. Ms. Baker was also there, one of the social workers for the district, was also at the meeting. And the short version of the story is that with 2 guidance counselors, they're hoping that they can split the load of individual casework that they have to do. The numbers and the ratios are in here. Ours is more than double what the national average is and what is recommended, which explains why Mrs. Mitchell's been having no time to do guidance classes, which is what Mrs. Brown, and please, I hope Mrs. Brown will correct me if I'm wrong, but previously the district is engaged in these guidance classes, which is more of a, it's less individualized and more of a teaching kids appropriate social behavior in certain situations. And one thing that I think encapsulates this problem Mrs. Brown mentioned was that kids seem to, in the middle school, particularly in the older grades, 7th and 8th grade, seem to go from 0 to 100 at the drop of a hat. There's no escalation, there's no in-between, everything is a catastrophe and needs to be dealt with that way. So the hope is that they can start getting back into some of the curriculum that's available for guidance counselors to be teaching some of these courses, to split up the middle school between the 2, both in terms of individual cases, students that they have to see, whether it's for an IEP or just dealing with something that's coming up during the day, and then also split the coursework between 5th, 6th, and 7th and 8th graders. So that was one end of it, and then we also, as I mentioned, heard these really wonderful affirmations of the work that the students have been doing, that the teachers have been doing. We got presentations, as I mentioned, from Ms. Brown, which was wonderful after what we had heard from her about the negative side of things. Mrs. Stork shared a video that's going to be on Newman's Own website. The End of Days Month School was featured by Newman's Own nationally. And then Mrs. Donahue shared a video of interviews that she did with students about things that they had learned throughout the year. Again, those are all available from the email that Evelyn sent out. And that's about it. And we're not meeting this coming month in July.
Questions for Ryan in education?
Thank you for all that information.
It was a very good meeting. Okay, moving along. We don't have a policy meeting, and we didn't have transportation, but tri-county vocational.
And I was able to get this, the minutes in your packet, so you can review it. Yeah, we had a good meeting on the 1st of June. Director Levitt explained the middle school and summer camp CTE programs that they're having. The middle school one already happened about 2 weeks ago. Waiting to hear back how that went. They're forming the reports and whatnot that they, the rubric that they use for each of the attending kids to experience CTE in a kind of a condensed format. And they're planning on expanding on that for summer camp this year. At this time, I think it's available. I don't know if it's available to our district yet. I know they were putting it out to the Dexter area first, and then if there were available slots, they were going to put it out to the rest of the sending schools. So look out for that. With some money this year, they were able to purchase a 911 simulator to go along with their emergency services classes, so kids get actual experience on the 911 dispatch simulator. So that was one of the purchases that they made. A lot of accolades that I heard at the meeting at the wrap-up of the year. It's always great to hear. We have over 200 industry certifications, commercial certifications. These kids can go out into the workforce and apply those skills. So we got such a great program going on over there. And I'm really happy with how our new administrator is trying to market it. And speaking of marketing, they did, I don't know if anybody noticed on WLBZ, there was an ad for Tri-County running for the last month and a half. So just getting the awareness out there to get people into the trades. There was the pinning ceremony for the CNAs. We had 35 registered CNAs at the time. A few were still finishing up their requirements. So all in all, just another excellent year at Tri-County and expanded more and more. We're still learning on the comprehensive school from the state. No new news to report on that. They're still looking for locations, and I'm still curious as to how that's going to work with us when that big change happens. So I will keep you informed as I know.
Excellent.
Thank you.
Any questions for Jason? Thank you. Negotiations.
We'll be discussing it later in the meeting.
Okay. And no extracurricular ad hoc or pandemic ad hoc. No old business. We have new business. SEA projects and anticipated expenditures. Laura.
Title I, these are preliminary allocations. The state is hoping to have our actual allocations by July 15th. So usually they're not far off from these numbers. So for Title I, we got $831,031.94. And Title I is what helps cover our interventionists, our specialists, and supporting students who need a little additional support in It could be reading or math. It also supports our partnership with the Maine Partnership of Comprehensive Literacy. Title II was $141,794.94, and Title II supports professional development. Title IV was $84,177.45. And Title IV is a very flexible title, and what we've done for several years with Title IV is transfer that to Title I in order to maintain the level of interventionists that we have, because as the salary and benefits and cost of living increases, the allocations don't. So many districts do the same thing. They transfer that money so that they can maintain the level of services in Title I. And Title V is $21,273, and that has also supported professional development and work that we do with grade school partnerships. So in order to maintain the level of staffing and the mandatory set-asides, which are for family engagement, that's a mandatory set-aside that we do have to maintain in the grant. Kindergarten Jumpstart, and then a mandatory set-aside to support homeless students, and then costs to help support the coordinator. The total for that is $939,133.72. So with transferring all of Title IV and just a little under $24,000 from Title II, that covers, that helps us maintain our staffing and meets the mandatory required set-asides. And for Title II, $15,000 goes to supporting our partnership with the Maine Partnership in Comprehensive Literacy. And that really supports professional development with our coaches and our interventionists. And that's ongoing through the year. And our reading recovery teachers get ongoing professional development that is required in order for them to maintain their reading recovery teacher status. And then a little over $96,000 is dedicated to help support the professional credits, workshops, and other professional development that is deemed applicable to our district agreed upon in our curriculum. And then materials. A lot of times, teachers have really been participating in book studies specific to what a staff or maybe a group of teachers from across buildings feel like is a really important topic. So that helps purchase those books. And then they've done some really good book studies and professional development that are really pertinent to what they're doing every day. And then there's a set-aside for the coordination of Title II. And again, Title V is the work that we do with grade school partnerships. And the benefit of that partnership is they work with schools all over New England. So it's really nice to be able to work with them and hear what other people are doing, partner with them, and it just helps us continue to improve our practices and see where we are, with what other schools are doing in New England. So if the board is okay with, or if you have any questions, that would be my proposal for this year's grant, which again, we'll get those final allocations hopefully by July 15th.
Any questions for Lloyd? You are looking for us to...
Need a motion, just so that you keep the document back.
Motion to accept the proposed allocations and the title funds if granted.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Veronica. Any discussion on the motion? Hearing none? All those in favor? Any opposed? It passes. Request for a one-year leave of absence.
Yes, we have a request for a minimum period of one academic year. Carol Moores has been offered an opportunity to be a school counselor in a remote village in Alaska. She realizes she'll miss her senior year of her son. However, this has been a lifelong dream. She's got a passion for traveling, and she would a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. Her intent is to return to her current position as world language. However, she understands that if that not exact position is available, she would hope she could regain a position in the district.
Okay. Looking for a motion.
Motion to grant.
Second. Jason Greena. Any discussion on that?
What is her position?
She's presently the middle school world language.
Say again?
World languages.
Middle school.
Middle school.
Karina, did you say?
Anything else? Oh, Veronica.
Are we going to be hiring for that position in this year's absence?
Yes. We'll see what we can, yes.
Oh,
Jenny?
Jenny?
During her time, we're just holding a space for her. We're not providing any benefits or salary.
Correct.
Paul?
is you're hiring for the position, is that position going to be a one-year position, or?
I think the person's understanding is that they'd like to come back to that position. However, if that's not available, because we do want to keep somebody who's going to continue in that position because it's not an easy position to fill, she may end up in another position.
So it's not necessarily a one-year
Yeah,
position?
for the person that we're going to
Right.
advertise.
I was just gonna say, I was gonna ask, so it's not gonna be a long-term sub position? Okay.
Ryan?
So the person that we hire would have to be within the confines of the budget for that position, is that correct?
Well, not necessarily, because we hire people based on their years of experience and
So
all
it
of.
may be that we find someone whose experience and step level is above this person. Okay, thank you.
Right. And it's all been kind of how we hire in general, right? Whatever we've put in the budget, those people were there by names, and we tried to hold them the best we possibly could. But sometimes we hire lower, and sometimes we hire higher, and we hope that it works out in the.
Any other questions? Seeing none. All those in favor of the motion? Those opposed? It is unanimous. Authorization for the superintendent to hire during the summer months.
Move to authorize the superintendent to be allowed to hire during summer months.
Do I hear a second? Jason? Any discussion?
Was that all positions, Mike?
That's what,
In all positions?
that's what it's been in the past. I can tell you this is going to be we've done pretty well right now, but you've also seen somebody who accepted a job and has already declined that job. But it helps me get people on board and can get them a contract and start working forward.
Any other questions?
Those people that you hire will be put before the board.
Yep.
Be authorized to offer a contract.
They come back in front of you. Yeah.
Right. We address them before the beginning of school.
Which we take no action on that anymore. One of them we did, we always had action, but some of them we don't. It's just advisory or something. Would that be the call?
Hourly in certain positions that aren't required by statute to.
Athletics. Any other questions? Seeing none, all those in favor? Those opposed? It is unanimous. Certify results of referendum vote on June 14th.
Chris read that, go ahead.
To move that the computation and declaration of votes dated June 21, 2022, and attached hereto be approved, that the computation and declaration of votes be entered upon the records of Regional School Unit 19, that a certified copy of the computation and declaration of votes be sent to each of the municipal courts clerks of the member municipalities within the Regional School Unit 19.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Any discussion?
I'm going to send around only 2 sheets that you have to sign. Your names are not on it, so you can sign wherever you want to. We'll go this way, and then it can come back around. And then I sign it as well. So just try to sign it in the same spot, because you'll have only the 2 pieces in front of you, and we'll get that recorded.
All those in favor? Any opposed? It is unanimous. While we're signing, Karina, would you like to?
Okay. Make a motion to enter executive session for the labor contract proposal between RSU 19 and RSU 19 Educational Association pursuant to 1 MRSA 4056D.
There is a motion and a second on the floor to go into executive session. Those in favor? Those opposed?
What time is it?
It is
7:04.
7:04. Mr. Brown, are you up there to shut the cameras off for a little bit? And then we'll let you know when we're back in session.
I'm going to go grab Netto before she does.